Hello everyone. Let's have more news about the Warriors. But first, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Draymond Green gets honest about Jonathan Kuminga's future. Golden State Warriors forward Jonathan Kuminga was put in a very unique situation at the end of his 2024-25 campaign. At the end of the regular season and into the playoffs, there was a 7-game stretch where Kuminga was a DNP coach's decision 5 times and his future in Golden State was as cloudy as ever. Then in the second round of the playoffs, superstar point guard Steph Curry went down with an injury and the Warriors turned to Kuminga as an offensive spark off the bench. In games 2 through 5 against the Minnesota Timberwolves, Kuminga averaged 24.3 points and 3.5 rebounds with 55.4 389 to 72.0 shooting splits in the second unit. Just when Kuminga's value was down the drain, he took this opportunity in the playoffs to prove how valuable he can truly be. Kuminga is now entering restricted free agency and the Warriors have to decide whether they want to pay him to keep him around or let him walk. Warriors star Draymond Green got honest about Kuminga's future, saying he will thrive regardless of what happens in free agency. "We're going to have to evaluate Jonathan Kuminga," Green said. "We all know his talent. We all know what we all believe he can be, but now you have to make a huge financial commitment. One thing's for certain, whether it's here or somewhere else, he's going to get paid and he's going to have a very bright future." Kuminga 22 has shown many glimpses of stardom and still has plenty of room to grow and he might be better off going to a franchise that can play through his growing pains. Of course, Kuminga was benched for a reason. But if the Warriors feel like they would get that playoff version of him all the time, they could decide to bring him back. Now, let's go to another video. Don't forget to leave a like.com. And he had very interesting insights into the plans the 76ers have for the draft. Remember, they got in the lottery the 3rd pick. I can already see your face. This is what Devon wrote. He wrote, "Some teams expect the Sixers to be active in trade conversations with names such as Kevin Durant and Lauri Markkanen as potential targets in packages that could include Paul George and the number 3 pick. Marcus, why did you react that way when we began this?" "Because I'm just tired of the Sixers just trying to do so much, right? Like, can you already switch guys out in and out? You just had our James Hart, now you got Paul George. Like, are you going to bring Kevin Durant here and it doesn't work? Now what happens if that don't work? Like now what's the conversation like? Let's get a healthy Embiid? Let's focus on that first before we talk about going to get a guy like Kevin Durant. And you've seen what happened in Phoenix. I'm not sure if that's a better situation. Giving up the 3 pick when Joel Embiid has got really not much left, not much tread left on the tire. It's clear, right? Getting him healthy and keeping him healthy is a challenge at this point. They are stuck with that contract. You're not moving it, but giving up a 3 pick. Tyrese Maxey is a young player and he's a dynamic player. Wouldn't you? Jaya McCain before the injury looked like he had a future. You're going to give away a future core like that to just try once again to chase a championship for Embiid? That makes no sense. Bottom line, I'm going to do some math. Sometimes we do math on this show, Marcus. We do some math. Okay. So, a healthy Joel Embiid? Yeah? Plus Tyrese Maxey. Plus Kevin Durant next year equals what in the Eastern Conference? I would say championship. Yeah? But the main factor is Joel Embiid being healthy. Yes. Like, I don't even think you have to add Kevin Durant. I think you have to start there. Like, you can't just jump and say let's get this guy. Let's get this guy. You have a great core. But that's not really optional, right? Like, is that even just starting with a healthy Joel Embiid? I'm out of the room. I just walked out like just start with that part. That has never happened before. You got to write that in pencil and it'll be erased before you finish writing it like that. He's never healthy. The franchise has to accept where they are with him and look at going forward and sort of drag him along. This is almost late 90s Knicks with Patrick Ewing, where Patrick Ewing was just there was not much gas left in the tank. So they got Freewell, they got Houston, they got Larry J. They tried to just build a team where he just doesn't have to be the centerpiece. The same thing has to be done in Philadelphia. Giving up that 3 pick makes no sense. Alright, we'll see if that's what winds up happening. Again, all eyes are going to be on Giannis. All eyes are going to be on KD and other big-name stars once we get to free agency. In the meantime, we got Game 1 last night and he said something, Stephen, that I think will make you smile or maybe frown. We'll see. Getting into Giannis next. So after Shams reported that Giannis is exploring options outside of Milwaukee, the Greek Freak's future still undecided. Since being drafted by the Bucks in 2013, Giannis has gained quite the resume, winning a title, Finals MVP, regular season MVP twice. So Giannis took to Twitter to have some fun answering fan questions. He said his favorite city to play in on the road is New York and Florida cities make him the most happy to visit. Okay, Marcus, I'll start with you. I co-sign on this. My favorite place to work is New York 'cause you're all here and Florida cities also make me the happiest, so I'm with him. Are these tweets something or nothing? I would say nothing. As a player, the Garden in New York always was my favorite place to play. Like that, the energy you get from playing in New York and playing in the Garden is just literally unmatched, right? And being a guy that's in Milwaukee when I'm talking about Giannis, when you get to Florida and you get out, let's get that light and it's sunny and you like, man, I can see myself here, which begs the question, I feel like Miami is a spot. Yeah, I feel like it's a spot. Reading deeply into this answer. Ask me anything. No, nothing bad. Go ahead, Mom. Go ahead, man. Go ahead. We know you are a big fan of Florida. I also think this is nothing. I think when you talk to most NBA players, the 3 cities, they mention New York, Miami, and LA. Especially to Marcus' point, if you're coming from a small market, and I just think this was engaging. Now, I am fully aware that Giannis was probably smirked when he was answering these questions and was like, this is going to get him going. Because yeah, it is. But I also think if there is any truth to New York, I don't know what the Knicks' flexibility is. They obviously are on an incredible run this year, but I think you got to look at Brooklyn as like a piece of this conversation. I don't know how quickly they would be prepared to win, and I think winning is a big piece of whatever Giannis is going to do next, but if he can get on board with the timeline, yeah, the Heat need a superstar, too. Stephen A., both of you are wrong. Oh, you're wrong. Oh, this is something. And let me tell you why it's something. Because if you talk to members of the New York Knicks, they certainly believe they have a possibility. And they believe they have a possibility for one reason and one reason alone. They think it's possible that Giannis will say he wants to be in New York. That's why. Because when you have a superstar of his magnitude, obviously, even though he has 2 years left on this deal plus a player option, if he makes it clear that he doesn't want to be a part of an organization, that's not a location you're going to move him to. And because that's the reality, you'll probably need a third team if it were to happen. Because of the numbers involved and the players that the New York Knicks would give up wouldn't be enough, because what players would be enough for Giannis? But in the end, if this superstar, and he is a superstar, if this brother says, I want to be traded to the New York Knicks, and he tells Milwaukee that, and Milwaukee gets on the phone and tries to work out a deal with the New York Knicks. It most certainly could be done under those circumstances. Those are the only circumstances it could happen. It can't be where they're competing against a bunch of people. No, it has to be Giannis like I want to go there and they believe it's possible he may say that. What about the Heat? So to me that leaves it open. Well, of course not the Nets. The Nets. I got to disagree, right? I think the Nets can possibly be there. Giannis says it. But I don't know, it's not Giannis. That's what I'm talking about. What Giannis go to say coming to New York? He ain't going to Brooklyn. So it's Milwaukee. What if they don't want the assets that New York coming up with? What if they want to blow it up and start it all up? Every manager, every equipment manager, the custodial workers, the security, guard and security is always good to me. I love them. I love all them brothers. Damn it. I'd give up myself for Giannis to be in New York if it mattered. I mean, I don't give a damn what it is. Giannis. So, it's not about championship. Giannis in New York. So, is it about championships or is it about Giannis? No, number. I'm saying to you, Giannis will come and win one. We need June to happen though. A couple weeks ago, I'm gonna say Miami. Like I love Miami. I love the fit. I love the style. I think he can get other guys to come out there. And actually, I think Pat Riley might have to take a little step down because you getting a guy like that. So now he builds it around him. No, I got upset. But then that kind of put you in a position where if you get banned to go to Milwaukee, it's something tight. And now that Milwaukee don't feel like they left. You just said you going to have to give up so much to get this guy. That's going to be Milwaukee South. There's nothing wrong. Get Bam. You with Tyler Hero. No, you taking Bam to Milwaukee. Maybe Tyler Hero. Now we don't have to start all the way over if I'm Milwaukee now. Maybe we don't have to start at the bottom and try to do what KC do because everybody can't do that. But Miami now just looks like the same team he just left in Milwaukee in Miami. Every team is going to look like that because they have to. But they have not. Every team won't look the same. Like talk to me. Giannis is 30 years old. He's a walking 30 points on 12 rebounds on 60% shooting from the field. He needs a paint to roam. He is one of the most relentless at the rim. And he needs shooting. And to me, that's what they bet on in Milwaukee, which is great, but also the defense took a step back by adding Damon, losing Drew. In Golden State, you're tag teaming. The only issue I have, but at first, like you're tag teaming with the greatest shooter of all time. Like they had an issue with size on the interior, but they also like to play small ball and now you can use him as a switcher defensively. Like if I see Steph and Giannis, that is a match made in heaven. Basketball heaven to me. So, I'm looking at the circumstance. The only issue I have is that, the timelines. He's 30 years old. Steph is like 34, 35. No, he's older than that. He wants to, I think finding a place to win a championship surrounded by shooting, that's number one. I'm staying out the West if I'm honest. I'm staying out the West. I'm going to the East so I can continue to build brings us back to New York. I feel like for the league, you want him in a big market. You want him in a big market. You want him somewhere where he can his personality, everything else about him can shine along with the winning. And by the way, why don't we ever talk about Jokic this way? Why aren't we talking about Jokic? Because Jokic tolerates us to be great at basketball. Guys like we think we assume Giannis wants to chase rings about because we haven't seen the cycle the way we've seen the cycle in Milwaukee. Giannis said I want to win a championship, and what do? They changed multiple coaches. They added multiple players. They put their chips in the table, and now you see they exhausted a lot of options. I don't think Denver is there on the process. Even though they made a lot of changes in the season, they're not fully there yet. Steph is 37 by the way. Yeah? Well, he's thought he was younger. Well, he plays like he's 33 or 34. Look, the bottom line of it is this. If indeed his goal is to win a championship in wherever it is that he goes next, one thing that was said at this table makes a lot of sense to me. Stay in the East. Look at the way the lottery went. The West is going to be brutal. The East is going to be the place that you try and get it done. Now, Milwaukee is going to have some say in where they're willing to send him. And I mean, circle it all the way back to the beginning of the conversation. If the Knicks lose to Indiana, are the Knicks going to make a play for Giannis? They'll have conversations. There's no doubt in my mind you have conversations, but it's the cost. Yes. They've already gutted some of their roster to make the changes they made. You cannot keep doing that and keep and think you can contend for a champ, especially the next year after you just made big trades. I don't see that. But it won't. They're not going to stay. They won't lay out. They'll be in the conversation. Have to. I don't think this puts him in a position to win right now, but if he can give it a few years, you also can't sleep on Brooklyn. The sides are in his owners in terms of if they can build it out. It depends on how quickly he wants to win. Alright, let me leave it there for the moment. It's going to be very interesting to see what he does when the NBA Finals are over. We become Giannis Central, I think, as far as and let's get right into it. We already did the interviews for Steph, for Jimmy, for Draymond. I did those very intensive, very deep. You hear them talk for minutes on end. Please find those videos on the channel. I don't want to waste the time here for you guys. They give you high level. Steph was bummed. It was hurt. I probably could have played game 6. I was trending the right way. And the roster management is not my job. Butler was stoked to be here. Love playing with the Warriors. Everyone's is super selfless. This off-season I'm going to get to know my teammates better. It'll make me a better player. Draymond, sucks that we'd have Steph, but you can't whine. We won the championship when Irving and Kevin Love was hurt. Now was our turn to have no luck. Steph got hurt. I would play center again if I have to, but we have to look at Rob's management. Now, this takes us to Buddy Hield. I'm not going to play what he says. We're going to look at it right here. Buddy said, and I completely agree. When you look at him, he looked like he was having fun on the court. This is the happiest I've ever been playing basketball. I tell guys, man, this season went by so fast because that's how much fun I had. There was a lot of joy being around Steve and this group, the players and the training staff. They all made me feel welcome, and you saw that in the way that he played, especially Game 7, Buddy Hield against the Rockets, 30 points. I want to say 9 threes. Let's go. He played in all regular 82 season games, folks. That is next level for a player like that. All 12 playoff games. Some starting, some off the bench. He eclipsed 200 made threes for the 7th straight season. And he has more threes the past, I want to say it was 5 seasons than Steph Curry. 33 points, 9 3-pointers, Game 7 against the Rockets. And he started playing defense. There was a point in the middle of the season when he wasn't playing defense. and we saw on the court Draymond yelled at Buddy. He got ripped out of the game. He was playing active hands, good defense at the end of the season. Again, you look at his stats from 3.41%. A bit lower than actually he normally does in the season. 2 to 7 per game shooting. How many threes he take this season? 549. So, a healthy sample size, but only shooting 41% from 3, which is interesting. Not ideal. Here it says 37%. I don't know what happened there. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing. I apologize, folks. Let's go back. He shot 37% from 3, not 41%, which is still a bit lower than what he normally does. He shot 549 from 3. Excuse me. He shot 41% from the field. You know, we don't really see him take mid-range too much. He can get to the rim, but he's really trying to take those threes. You look at his all-around game, his assists were down, his blocks were on average, his rebounds were about on average 3.23 seasons in a row. That's tough to hit the same number. Points 11.1. Realistically, he needed more points. He probably needed to be closer to 15 points a game, especially that early part of the season. We remember what he did. He was on a historic run the first 5 games and then he got so cold. He got yanked. It was rough. The hottest, coldest player. But towards the end of the season, he really stepped up and played well. For the Warriors to be successful consistently and not being in such close games, he probably needs 15 to 18 points to really help out Steph and those players. But all in all, a success, folks. And when you look at what his contract is, where is it? You look at line number 6, he's making $8 million. $8 million player. 9 threes in Game 7, 33 points. I will take that. I will take those stats for a bench player, semi-starter for $8 million a year. Hopefully, he can be more consistent next year and I expect him to be back. Now, that takes you to GP2. After that trade, we all got together and said, this is the time. We had to start winning and throw everything else out the window. Don't do it for yourself. Do it for everyone else in this room and more or less do it for Steph and Dre. However many years they have left, let's not waste it. I like what he said there. And pay it in, folks. Had a very up and down season. Injuries really hindered him again. He played more games this season than he has in quite a long time since 21-22. Played 62 games. So, he was relatively healthy throughout his shooting. He got 6.5 points per game. His threes are not his high point as we know, 32%, but he does make a casual like big time 3, a corner 3, every now and then, but he's really the for his defense, less than the steal game. Need the glove junior to get more than that. He's always been a decent rebounder. 3 rebounds a game, 57% from the field. He does do a nice job finishing at the rim from time to time, but I like that he was healthy. He played 62 games this season. That is not normal. 400 points, second most he's ever had in one season in his career. Again, you look at Payton. Look at line number 4. $9.1 million. He is now a free agent outright. Outright, folks. Free agent outright. Look right here. Gary Payton. He is a free agent outright. Will the Warriors resign him? That is the question. I think if they can get him for $6 to $8 million, they will. But he'll probably get $10 to $20 million on the open market for a player who is 6'2", 195, 33, good defense, good teammate, good role player. I think a team that is competing for a championship will try to bring him in. But the Warriors, if they can get him cheap, again, they don't have a lot of wiggle room with the contracts, they will want to bring him back. He's such a great person in the locker room. And a good player on the court. TJD, roller coaster of a season for him. Started, went to the bench, a lot of coaches did not play against the Wolves, showed he can play. We are winning and I'm a team player. That's just how I am. I just worked on my game and stayed ready. And then getting the Billy to play in the playoffs, I thought was a really cool experience. I play with confidence. I've just got to continue into next year. He's got to be able to shoot. Do I have TJD here? I don't. 1 second, folks. Let's get TJD. He's got to be able to shoot because in this NBA, you have to be not just a defender, a rebounder. You got to be able to shoot and score. And Trace Jackson Davis said it was something he was working on between year 1 to year 2. We didn't see it at all. Did not see this at all. You played 62 games. 60 plus games in your first 2 years is great. As a 57th pick in the draft is massive. Points were down again. Wasn't getting as many minutes, I mean that he was at the start of the season, but still only a minute less than he was playing his rookie year. Did not take any threes. Like that's got to develop to help open up the offense like Draymond. His free throw percentage has to get much better. Look at that. His rebounding was right on par. 5 a game assist. Nice job with the pick and roll. Offensive rebounds 2 a game. So he's helping on the boards. So all in all for a sophomore year it was okay. Wasn't anything to go call about. You know, again he did get benched. He is only making folks again, he is not a free agent. You look at number 10, he's making 1.8 million this year. Next year he'll make 2.2 and then he'll make 2.4. He's on year 204 of a rookie deal. So he'll be with us unless he's a part of a trade, and it would have to be a filler contract because he's really not making a lot of money. That a trade would be a big talking point. Looney free agent up and down season for him. I always want to be here. He's been here for 10 years. A decade with one team is impressive. This is where I was drafted. I've been here a long time. The hope, the feeling is mutual, but it's NBA. Things always change, especially when you don't win it all. I'm just ready for whatever. You look at Looney again. This was his worst career. It felt his worst season, it felt like in his career. You look at his points, 4.5 have gone down some from 3 years ago. Rebounding is always good. 6.1 a little bit lower than his career average, or his career average actually 5.7. So a bit higher, but what he did in the 22-23 season, again not starting as much, not playing as much. 15 minutes a game is the lowest he's had since 2017, 2018. No, sorry, 2019, 2020. But yeah, only played 20 games, he was hurt. But still played 76 games even though he was really not in the lineup. You saw Draymond, you saw Quinten Post take over. His field goal percentage needs to get better. Again, he talked about shooting threes and developing a shot. He didn't even do that. He took 2-3. He made 2-5 from 3 for the season. If he wants to be a longevity player, we need that type of player at the stretch 5. His contract is up again, folks. He was making Kevin Looney. Where are you at? Number 5, 9 million bird rights. He is a free agent outright. When you look at right here, I think he probably gets 10 to 20 million open market. I don't like mid-level veterans exception type of vibe. I don't know if the Warriors go ahead and match that. I think they can try to get some value somewhere else, or maybe they think Quinten Post will make the step and they can use that player somewhere else. And then of course JK ups and down roller coasters. We talked about that. I can't find anything from Pajki, but just because we're talking about it, I mean his season was a roller coaster. Started off so bad. By the end of the season, he really picked it up. You look at how many games he played, 64. He had that injury or shoulder around when he came back, that's when he did really good. Field goal percentage was a bit lower than rookie year. 3-point percentage was lower. Again, his start of the season was pretty dang bad. If I showed you the stats beginning and the end of the season, you would really see it. Points 11.7, which is a bit higher, but he really faded in the playoffs. Wasn't doing much if anything. And he's supposed to be the point guard of the future. Joe likes that. Backup point guard Steph Curry, and it really felt like when Curry went out in the playoffs, he was not able to step into that role. Looney, who was resigned before the start of the season, he's making $12 million per year. Had a great regular season. Again, beginning of the season, it felt like Curve would play him to start and then he would never see minutes again. By the end of the season, he was trusted. In the playoffs, he really faded and was not even a part of the lineup anymore. They went Buddy Hield. But he had 9.8 points in the regular season. There was a lot of times when he was slashing, made some big key threes. You look at his field goal percentage, 43%, a bit below where his career normal is. 37% career high. If he can continue that, get that closer to the 40, he'll have a place starting on this team or as a 6th, 7th man off the bench. And again, Moody will be here for the next 2 years. He is not a free agent. They have him projected starting with Brandon next year. And you look at Moody line 8, his contract kicks in starting next year for 3 years, 12, 13, 13. And Brandon's now moving into year 3. He's only making $3 million next year, then $5 million the following year. So very friendly team deals for players who were contributors all season and kind of faded in the playoffs and during the off. JK. Like I was hoping for this guy to be that certified third option and hopefully somebody that could have worked next to Jimmy Butler and next to Draymond Green and next to Steph Curry, that didn't all the way materialize, and now his future in with Golden State is uncertain and his price tag for NBA teams looking to sign him in free agency has definitely gone down. Mike Dunleavy continued with this. He said for that reason we'll try to bring him back. You know all those skill sets that he provides, and he said earlier, but you've got to have those conversations. You've got to figure it out. It's a two-way street in terms of creating and getting a new contract and all that. So, we'll see where it goes. The next question that we have to ask ourselves, though, does Kuminga want to come back at all himself? Like, with that uncertainty around his spot in the rotation and him in the starting line, him out of the starting line, him getting DMPS in the playoffs, would he want to come back to a situation like that? That's what we have to ask ourselves. What we do know is that the ownership of this Golden State Warriors franchise is in love with Jonathan Kuminga. We saw that just very recently for the Golden State Valkyries' first game of their WNBA history. Jonathan Kuminga was sitting next to Joe Lacob courtside at that Valkyries game. And I know a lot of Warriors fans who aren't exactly the most keen on bringing back Kuminga next year. Didn't exactly love this. We know the long history between Lacob and Kuminga and how influential Lacob was in drafting and keeping Kuminga over all this time. Remember the Marcus Thompson II article from The Athletic detailing what Golden State's near future will be. He says that Lacob's loyalty to Kuminga is well known. He was influential in drafting him in 2021. and it's nearly impossible to believe that League Cup would let Kuminga sign an offer sheet elsewhere and walk away for nothing. A reunion is still on the table, but both sides are expected to explore sign and trade scenarios which would open up the market and theoretically give Kuminga the contract and fresh start that he wants. And Golden State obviously, wants to. They believe that they need more positional size across the board, and I don't know if Kuminga is giving that to them at this point. Anthony Slater with this as well about Kuminga's side of things. He said, I think it boils down to Jonathan Kuminga wants to and believes he's ready for a 25 to 30 minute per night role and as an every night wing in this league and a featured offensive role at that as well. And they have been unwilling to give him that at various times in his career. That's 100% true. Steve Curry has long kind of been up in the air about whether or not Jonathan Kuminga fits in this Warriors puzzle. So that's something that we have to think about as well. Yes, Jonathan Kuminga can be a good player, but does he fit in Golden State's system? That I don't think we've seen that to this point. And if I had to bet I don't think Jonathan Kuminga wants to find out whether or not he's going to fit in this Golden State Warriors roster in year 4 or in year 5, excuse me. That's what it's going to be. If I had to bet, Kuminga is going to sign an offer sheet elsewhere. Probably something, I know Golden State can give him the most money technically, but he'll probably sign something for more than what Golden State's willing to offer at this point. It's going to be up to Golden State as to whether or not they'll be willing to match that and try to negotiate some sign and trade deal thereafter. Draymond Green knows he wants Jonathan Kuminga back, and he knows that Jonathan Kuminga is going to get a big-time payday, at least according to him. He said, one thing's for certain. I said this in my exit interview, whether it's here or somewhere else, he's going to get par,